Rush.
A little bit of Mega Man.
A little bit of Mega Man. That was, of course, Subdivisions by Rush. That was from their R30 tour. This is kind of a side note. They're celebrating this year their 40th anniversary.
Jeez.
As a band, it's incredible. You know, I saw them. I was telling them Matt and Ryan before. I saw them at Jonesy Beach this past summer, and they were just absolutely phenomenal.
They always are.
Yeah.
They always are. Just a pleasure to watch and listen to. They were really good.
For sure.
Just such a jam band, you know. But they're not like a jam band. They're like really, really good musicians. You know?
Yeah.
They're ridiculous. So, but yeah, moving on to sports, we got some stuff coming out. What do we have? The Sixers losing.
So we got some headlines for today. We got the 76ers lose their 24th straight game, which is just 2 away from the Cleveland Cavaliers' record of 26.
You can do it. I actually started rooting for them to make those records.
Yeah, you know.
I was like, come on, guys, like you know, season's in the drain. I mean, I know obviously they don't want that, but
yeah, for morality's sake, you know, you can't end you got to get your first win.
Did they lose it? They lost to the Knicks.
The Knicks.
Yeah, by 1, right?
Beat by 1.
Yeah,
the
that was their only hope. Mm-hmm. They had on ESPN like their chances of the games coming up, and like the Knicks were their best chance to like end the streak, and I guess they lost to the Knicks. I guess that's over. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Watch them beat some random team that they're not supposed to beat. I mean, they're not supposed to beat any team, but watch them beat I don't know, the Heat or something if they play them.
Well, I mean, look at the Heat right now. You know, the Heat are just imploding. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's unreal. They've lost, I think, 5 or 6 in a row.
A lot of teams have been.
A lot of the big teams, like Indiana.
Washington obviously struggling. Washington's been struggling, man. They're they're 1-4, dude.
I gave Matt this look. I was like, wait, are we talking about the NHL? what are we talking about over here?
No, but they are.
It's a lot of teams are struggling. You know, it's weird because, you know, you would think that this is the time of year where teams get hot. You know, and this is where you pay attention to see, okay, that 3 seed, that 4 seed that's catching fire, you know, they're gonna make some damage, and there's nothing like that. You know, right now it's the bottom teams. You know, the Knicks won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
You know, they lost yesterday to, I think it was Cleveland. They lost by 6. But, you know, you look at the Hawks. The Hawks have been on fire. The Nets, you know, as much as it pains me to say, because I absolutely hate Brooklyn, but, you know, they Brooklyn rage. But they're on fire. You know, they just keep finding ways to win. You know, and all credit to them. They should be winning with the roster they have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially the Knicks and the Nets.
The Knicks and the Nets. You know, I mean, with Phil Jackson signing with the Knicks.
The Zen Master returning to his team that he played for. I honestly, when rumors started flowing with him, I was like, there's no way he doesn't. It's like the team that he played for.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how he got his not his coaching start, but his introduction to NBA is like the Knicks. I mean, he was a Knick before people knew him as the Zen Master and like coaching Jordan. Yeah. I mean, he was a New York Knick, you know.
Mm-hmm. And fun fact, you know, because this is also a learning show as well as a sports show.
True. Yes.
Phil Jackson coached 1,973 games. The last time the New York Knicks won a title,
1973. Very true. He actually also has a really fun and random, I don't know, fact. He also is a famous nude picture with his legs crossed when he was getting an interview. It's like one of the first nude. This is really weird.
Well, Matt, this is also a family. This is a family show,
I'm
Matt.
Just saying, everyone look at me. He's looking at me.
This is a family show.
Looking at me like, why do you know this? I'm like, I don't know. It's information. I'm a human Snapple cap. Like, what do you want me to know? But yeah, he that's. So yeah, 1973. I don't like. Let's move on. I hate doing things like that though, because like Washington fans, especially for the Redskins, I know a different sport. They'd be like, last time Joe Gibbs was our coach, we won the Super Bowl when Joe Gibbs returned as coaching.
Yeah.
Well, last time we had an African American quarterback, we won the Super Bowl, and it's like, okay, like it doesn't work that way to me. And
we know ESPN now. ESPN now, they love these random facts, random stats. They have nothing to do with anything, you know. But you know, they just love to shoot them out there.
They do. They just love to shoot them out.
Yep.
Get them all going. Just looking up the man, they actually the Nets really have been shooting up the standings.
I think they're
1.5 games behind you guys.
They're 1.5 behind the Raptors.
Raptors, yeah.
the Raptors are another team that's struggling. I mean,
Good.
This past Sunday, I was in
our weekly
Raptor talk.
Yeah.
Our weekly.
Hey, listen.
I literally just started rooting for the Wizards because they're close to. Not even because I'm like I had to find a team that was like relatively close and that you guys might play in the playoffs. And I'd be
I mean, the way it looks right now, the Raptors will play the Wizards. But
I know.
Saturday.
John Wall.
John Wall.
Okay, so
who's your big guy? Who's your big guy again?
Oh, Gortat, dude.
Gortat.
We thought we saw him the other day. We were at St. Patty's Day, and we were like, dude, I think Gortat's here, and we're like, no, it's not him. It's not him.
Yeah, Gortat was on the parade float. I thought.
Yeah, that we invited him, but I don't think he took up.
He's another big fan of the show.
Yeah, he is. Gortat, yes.
Gortat.
He's a beast.
Yeah, I mean, continuing with teams that are struggling, Westbrook went down again. And he went down in the Raptors game.
What are you guys doing?
It was a freak play. Kyle Lowry, he's a guard of the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
He jumped up and he landed, and when he landed, his knee collided with Westbrook, and he just went out. And Westbrook's had 3 surgeries on that knee.
Does he ever have another one? I haven't been paying attention.
I haven't paid attention to see if he needs another surgery or not, but he hasn't played. So it's never a good thing when that happens.
Yeah, and San Antonio took Oklahoma City's spot, I see.
Yeah.
Just trying to be informed here, I feel. Just trying to be well-rounded. Well-rounded fans. But yeah, no, that really does suck for them.
It's
as much as I have one of my closest friends who went to Iona. He now is an assistant with the girls basketball team, Mike Ritz. His biggest thing actually was he doesn't really like Westbrook because he thinks he's a pretty talented player, but I mean he is, but he thinks that he really does mess up the chemistry of that team. Like if they got rid of him and got some like a couple of pieces that were better, or they he would have totally switched the whole like Harden thing. Like he would have taken Harden over.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so. So I mean, it's one of those like, I hope that he's okay, like he's not injured, but I think the Thunder might have to think about, getting a better overall cast around Kevin Durant, where Kevin Durant is the number one guy, because even with the Heat, who the number one guy is. Yeah. Look, I'm sorry, doesn't matter who it is. It's LeBron James. So he just needs one of those things where he doesn't need I don't think Kevin Durant needs another person who's like I also want the ball at the last second, even if he doesn't publicly say it, he secretly does, And I'm sure Wade had like an adjustment period too, but they said that it's just gonna be interesting to see how they go from here. I'm actually reading some headlines, and they say that they're not really worried about his knee. They said that there's no concern from Russell Westbrook about his knee. His words Sunday. Of course, this doesn't load. Of course, it's words Sunday afternoon. He met with the media. It was the first time Westbrook has spoken to them. He's like, the video looks worse than you think. So apparently, he's like, I wasn't really worried about it. So apparently, it's not as bad as you say. It's probably just a bruise. I mean, you can't play through that anyway, too. I mean, that's pretty good. Hopefully it's just a bruise for him. I think they do need him though for the playoffs. I mean, I don't think they can.
Yeah, the Thunder aren't going to win. I mean, it stinks because you don't want to see San Antonio again.
Yeah.
In the finals.
Sorry, San Antonio.
San
Antonio is the most even though like everyone doesn't like the Heat. Like you can at least say the Heat are exciting. I really feel that like San Antonio is the most persecuted, well-rounded, like just solid team. Like they don't do anything bad. They're just so boring. Yeah. And they're like, it's like oh, how dare they be consistent, and like how dare Tim Duncan not like dunk with authority? Like
how dare Tim Duncan use the backboard?
Yeah, it's like oh sorry, like oh god, I can't believe Tony Parker, like Manu Ginobili are like getting it done. It's just one of those like. I think about it because I don't like the Spurs either, and then someone kind of gave me that point of view. It's like they're just solid. Like if you're a person who just likes people that work hard and aren't the stars, like you can't like hate San Antonio. And I was like, you know what? I used to always claim that I like the underdog, or I wouldn't call it San Antonio an underdog, but like the ones that aren't like flashy and they just go to work and they work hard. You don't want to be a hypocrite and say that you like you like those teams, and then you're like, well, do you like San Antonio? And you're like, oh God, no, they're really boring, and I can't stand that they have no flashy players. So, I mean, it's interesting. Yeah. I don't want them to go back either.
You just, I mean, and it's no offense to San Antonio. It's just you want different teams in there. You know, it's like in football where you have the Patriots in there year in and year out. They're a talented team, don't get me wrong, but it's like, I mean, I guess it's good now to see like a Seattle or a San Francisco constantly in there to kind of like spice things up a little bit. But you're looking at the AFC; it's a similar thing. You know, people just don't want to see the same two. Like people, I mean, if it's San Antonio and the Heat again this year,
yeah,
you know, I mean,
and I don't think San Antonio. Well, I don't think San Antonio's going to make it through the playoffs because I don't think they're going to be able to run like 7-4 games straight with a high-paced, fast team. It's not going to happen. And if it works out where they do get to the finals, it's just going to be a blowout. Like they play the Pacers or they play the Heat. Like it'll probably be like a 5-game or a 4-game, series. Mm-hmm. So I just don't want to see them again, to be honest. So. And then moving on, Mark Cuban came out and said something about the NFL because apparently they signed a new a TV contract. I'll read it up for you guys. He says he thinks the NFL is 10 years away from implosion. Cuban was specifically referring to the NFL's recently expanding its television package. He considers it a poor business decision for the NFL, which consistently dominates TV ratings. And to play games on Sundays, to play games on other Sunday and Monday is just a bad move for them. It's kind of an interesting thought. It's kind of a random outburst from Mark Cuban.
That's what I'm thinking.
But you don't expect anything less from Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Just to give you some background on the deal, which Steve wrote up for us. He said in February the league announced a 1-year deal with CBS and the NFL Network to televise Thursday night games. CBS will air the games during the first 8 weeks of the season, simulcasting them with the NFL Network. The league's cable network, NFL Network, will exclusively show 6 Thursday night games later in the season, with CBS's top announcing tandem, Jim Nantz and Phil Simms, in the booth, which is kind of that's an improvement because I don't really like NFL Network's announcers, especially the color analyst. He also does. I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, and they also have this new color analyst. They had him last year, who's also on the NFL Network, and he's really annoying and awful. The NFL Network will also have a doubleheader on Week 16. I do think that they're spreading the games out a little too much, like all over the week. I kind of liked how the NFL was like Sunday and Saturday's college football, and like when it's getting fall out, it's getting like October, it's getting a little cool, but you still have some warm days, It's just, I mean, it's like football season. You feel football's in the air, and you enjoy it on the weekends. I always forget games are on Thursday night. When we have like a pick'em league and we have to pick the games each week. I this year I literally forgot 99% of the Thursday games. I remembered one.
Well, and the Thursday matchups are just terrible too.
Yeah,
they're just not fun to watch.
Yeah, they're not.
Always divisional games. It's never you're never like, oh wow guys, Thursday night football.
Yeah, they're like, thank God. Like, oh my God, I'm getting home.
Oh gee whiz, let's go watch the Bengals against the Browns.
Yeah, it is. It's always like that. It's like it's that, or like even if it isn't divisional games, it's just like a bad game. It's like a game that no one cares about except for the specific times, like except specific cities, not times. I don't know what I'm talking about. It would be like the Browns. We're just like rolling on the Browns, and but it's like the Browns versus the Cardinals. It's like I don't care, man. Like I really don't care. Like
I love the NFL. The NFL Network will hype it up to be like Jacksonville, Cleveland.
It's like Saturday, Thursday. Like who cares? Like I don't care. Who will score less? Like,
and they always be like these bitter rivals.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like
the bitter rivalry of
like last year. It's like what was like 16-13? Like they spawned a tough contest.
Jacksonville beat Cleveland in a 2-0 overtime game.
I know, it's like a record-setting game for the lowest score and the most incomplete passes.
Yeah.
Watch how these teams function without a quarterback. Go. So it's just I can't stand it. I think he does. I think Cuban does have a bit of a point.
Well, yeah.
And I don't know if it's a bad business move for the NFL. I think he's just a little sour that I mean, they don't really compete market wise. I mean, I guess later in the year they kind of do, but he's just I think he's just talking about how uh, it just gets kind of annoying seeing the NFL all over the team. I do too. I mean, I get kind of annoyed by it. I mean, I do like football. It isn't one of my top sports, but I mean, I follow it. I mean, I follow it weekly, and I make sure I stay up to date with it. And it's just it's just like one of those like I just don't know if it's a good. Ryan, what do you think? I mean, I don't.
Yeah, again, I don't know why he would come out and say that. I don't really care what Mark Cuban thinks when it comes to football. I really just, to me, he's just some guy on Shark Tank.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
I like him on Shark Tank, though.
Yeah, he's okay on Shark Tank, right?
He's actually my favorite person on Shark Tank.
Well, I think that it has a lot to do with the NFL just getting really big, and I think that, 10, 15 years ago, basketball and baseball were, probably the two most prominent sports in America.
Yeah.
And I mean, and if you take a poll now and you ask anyone, I don't know what age group, but a lot of kids now, favorite sport will be football.
Yeah.
So I think that, and you look at football, like Ryan and Matt, like you guys said, that it's becoming so big, everywhere you go. That the majority of commercials have football players.
It is becoming like our number one sport. It's kind of becoming like what soccer is in like Europe or I mean, you think about like jersey sales, the coverage. The only place I've ever seen anything else like it is like in Europe with soccer, where they cover it, all the time. They cover, during the off season. It's like, I used to say, I'm like, what? Like, not with soccer, because I mean, I would just enjoy it, and I would find it in aspects about it. But to me, I'd just be like, who cares about like what blah 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 said in the off season, or like, for the NFL. But I mean, it's just becoming that, like, people just want to see their teams every single like day of the week, even when it's like this time of the year, And I mean, like Mike Vick. I mean, that's a big news about him signing with the Jets. I mean, that's something to talk about. I mean, it's always there's always something now that you have to relate back, or like even when there's like no news, like SportsCenter will still be like 86 days till like camp starts. You're like,
there's nothing else like it.
Nothing, but like I'll even say at the TV, I'm like, you've literally just did this because there's no news on football lately. Like you want to get some insight. You got to get John Clayton on there and speaking it up. Yeah. So, I think it is becoming a little big, but again, Mark Cuban doesn't really need to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart to put Thursday night on a CBS because, you don't know how many people have NFL Network. I know that, like, Time Warner didn't even have NFL Network until 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So Thursday Night Football, a major market in the United States didn't have it. So I think that putting it on CBS is a smart move.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't like
smart.
I don't like having, there's, I think, a doubleheader on a Saturday now.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, if you're gonna put football games on every day of the week, that's stupid.
That's annoying.
Like the whole point. Like I remember as a kid, you would love that Sunday, the Sunday football.
It's religious.
It's religious. You go to church, you come home, you eat some lunch, and you watch some football games.
Yeah.
And it's slowly but surely it's going to be taken away. You don't know how many. You don't know if they're going to expand. They're going to talk about like playoff expansion possibly this year, next year.
It's going to let everybody in. Like it's just ridiculous.
I mean, it doesn't work for football.
It, man. It just doesn't, man.
I mean, I know it stinks for a team like Arizona to go 10-6 and not to make the playoffs. But listen,
you can do it. You can do it. You just unfortunately have to get rid of the division champions, and then that's. Then you're like, we won our division.
Yeah, you won your division, and you got the best. You would get rid of a bye.
Yeah.
They would basically add a third wild card, and only the first team with the best record in each conference would get a bye. So it's like
it's too many.
Yeah, it's too many. They are becoming a little bit too big. You look at all the rules changes. They're kind of neutering the game, watering it down a lot.
Yeah, and now they're like trying to make it more exciting with that possible like. Oh, is it like they're trying to move back the extra point?
Yeah, make it a 42-yard field goal.
Yeah, and they're like trying to like make it like, oh, it'll matter more now, and it's like you're just to me when I saw it, I'm like you're trying to like go for safety. How many injuries do you see like just randomly on trying to get a field goal? Like, I mean, most neck injuries happen from that. Like some guy gets squashed underneath, and like it's like. come on, guys. Just I understand. I mean, everyone understands it's an automatic, but that's just part of the game, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
and stop trying to reduce the kicker's role. I mean, it's just you got to start liking some of the integrity of the game. Like you can't just keep bringing in new things and just being a progressive, constantly progressive sport. You got to be, you got to embrace the rules of your game and just understand this is the way it is, and we love it. That's what we like about it. I mean, I understand some of the things are medical, but I mean, you watch some of the hits back in the old days. We think oh my God, what a hit, and wow, they play so much faster now. It's you look at they would throw people around like rag dolls, man. It was real man's sport back then,
I was watching NFL Network. They've been doing this whole dynasty thing. They follow the Patriots, the Steelers, 49ers, and Packers. And I was watching last week was the Steelers week, and I was watching Mel Blount, and just him pile driving people to the ground.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was watching the game that had, I think it was the 1979 or 1980 Super Bowl, and I would just look at my screen and be like, oh, block in the back on a kickoff return, oh, chop block, oh, holding, calling the calls, and those things didn't exist 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So the game was just. I don't know. I don't know if
it was so much more physical. I'd say. Of course, we're gonna have a million NFL guys calling the show, but it's just. I mean, you mean Joe Green, the steel curtain, and I don't like the Steelers, but I mean, it's oh my gosh, and then you think about teams what the Ravens defense could have been if it was in the old rules.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Ray Lewis, all them, I mean. Yeah,
I mean,
they're still crazy. Yeah. I mean, they're still crazy, ridiculous. But I mean, back then, I mean, oh my gosh,
yeah.
The things. I'm sorry, you're getting paid millions of dollars.
Nowadays, but you have to remember,
that's the
back
thing
then,
too. That's the thing too.
People were making 4 or 5 figures.
Yeah.
There was people making $100,000, $50,000.
Yeah. I would say the average salary was in the 6 figures, for the the 100,000s, but especially in the 70s when it started getting back up. 60s it was you were saying, it was the 5 digits, 50, 60,000 top players. I guess maybe signing $100,000 contract was a big deal.
Yeah.
But also things were less money then. Houses were $10,000 as opposed to $3 to $1 million.
But you look at how it is now, and it's just these people, the players, they go through a lot. It's the most physical sport, probably next to hockey. I would probably say hockey is a little bit more physical than that. But it's a very physical sport, and to compare what they went through 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and compare it to now, they have no argument.
That's why there's so much onus now on the retirement benefits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the league needs to step up. It's $1 billion business.
Yep.
You need to start paying those guys that are suffering a lot of money. They play some of the greats, man. Earl Campbell, he can't even walk.
Yeah.
You should be paying that guy $1 million a year.
You look at those old guys, and they can't move.
You're gonna tell the ones that progress the game.
The guys that made the sport.
Made the star players of today. You're gonna say, oh well, yeah, we have programs for them. Dude, pay them.
Yeah,
pay them.
Pay that man.
Yeah, I mean they deserve it. I mean, you watch Earl Campbell run. I mean, there's just something. He would just run through people with his helmet.
Yeah.
There's an image of him literally getting his jersey torn off, and he just piles through it, and they literally sacrificed their body for their teams, and now they can't even walk, or they have that syndrome with their brain that causes depression
with concussions. It's terrible. It really is. But it's always interesting looking back, and looking at how sports were 30 years ago and comparing them to now. And football, football in the last 10 years has changed so much.
Very true.
They're trying to make the game safer. They're trying to put more padding in the helmets and things like that.
Yeah.
But they're encouraging players to aim low now, and aim at their kind of like a chest area from your I don't know, your lower torso to maybe your belly button.
Yeah.
That's the target zone.
Yeah.
But players are also hitting low because you can't hit too high or else you have a blow to the head.
Yeah.
So they're aiming low, and then when you aim low, you
leg injuries.
It's a leg injury in any sport. In any sport, a leg injury ends your career.
Yeah.
You know, a knee injury, ACL, things
Cadillac
like that.
Williams, man. Everyone remembers Cadillac Williams. Never forget when he just. I was actually in school in North Carolina, and they were watching the Panthers game, and he just got. His knee just goes it goes 90 degrees sideways, and it just. I said it. I'm like ACL. He's out. He's out for long. He's never gonna make it again. I said it the instant it happened. The instant they showed the replay, I was like, he's never gonna be the same again. And Cadillac Williams was so promising that year. He was so good.
He was,
He was living up to his name, Cadillac. I mean, it was just
that name though.
It's a great name,
Cadillac Williams. I mean,
jeez, that just
pretty
flows.
impressive.
It's a good name.
You couldn't make Cadillac McGinnity. It doesn't work. But that sounds like a drunk Irish person trying to sell you a terrible old used Cadillac.
Come on down.
Cadillac Cadillac Williams.
You don't think I can sell a Cadillac? I'm Cadillac McGinnity.
Yeah.
Crazy. You didn't know they call me that?
You didn't know?
Well, Cadillac McGinnity. That's your new nickname now.
It's not even gonna.
It's a solid
That's
name.
how it took off. How did you even get that name? It was a sports radio show.
It was a sports radio show. Tell your grandkids that.
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you, they call me Cadillac Williams.
I don't know why I turned Indian for a second, but that was great. So yeah, moving on. Michael Vick signing a 1 year deal for $5 million.
Yep.
Steve or Ryan, you might know this. What happened with his contract? I mean, he signed $100 million. I mean, he signed what did he sign with the Eagles? He signed a big deal with the Eagles.
He signed a deal that got scrapped, and then they got restructured, and then
that's what it was.
it got restructured, and then he got cut because he wasn't. He's Michael Vick. He was in jail for 2 years. He came back. And he even before jail, he could never stay healthy. That was his biggest deal. He could never stay healthy. He was always missing games. He would always get 1 or 2 games here, concussion here, and now it's weird because Geno Smith for the Jets had got the vote of confidence from everybody. From the general manager to the coach.
Yeah, he came on a little bit last year too.
Listen, for what the Jets had last year, what Rex Ryan had last year, to go 8-8 is incredible.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
So I think anyone will tell you that.
They were the number 1 team picked to
be the
possibly go 0-16.
0-16, and
only if.
Why? but why mess that up though? I don't think Vic is gonna go in there and be content with saying, "Oh, I'll back up Geno Smith." That's fine. What I'll do.
That's what people thought too when he came in for when he came into the Eagles too.
For Donovan. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. We'll see how things unfold. I don't think he's gonna be like a Mark Brunell and sit on the bench for.
He's not gonna be content with that.
Yeah, that holding those field goals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're gonna take
we'll take a break and get back with some football.
Football, yeah, we're gonna do a soccer segment over here.
Football
in Europe.
Get some Ryan opinion over here. So
So how about some No Doubt?
All right, sure.
Wow,
no doubt,
rush.
dude.
Yeah.
It's no rush, but hey, listen, No Doubt they're a good band.
Yeah, they are.